circumference. And I gave you a formula for circumference yesterday. In fact, I gave you two of them without looking. Does anybody know what they are? 2 pi r is one of them. Or we could say what?
D pi.
Yeah, we typically would write pi d, but d pi is okay, right? Now, for the sake of argument, today, unless they tell you otherwise, we're going to use pi as being 3.14. You do not need to use anything other than that. If by chance you have a scientific calculator that has a pi button, please don't use it. Use 3.14. That way all of our answers will be consistent and the same. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So in your packet, you're going to find one that says your turn number 3. First person to find it, shout out the page number. Page 100. This one simply asked me to find the circumference of the circle to the nearest hundredth. Circumference. Which formula would I want to use this time? Would I want to use 2 pi r? Or would I want to use pi d? I definitely would want to use pi d in this case because they gave me the diameter, the distance all the way across the circle. So we would take 3.14 times 11. What is it?
34.50.
Can anybody tell me what the unit should be? Should be centimeters. Why not centimeters squared? Because it's not area. It's distance around, it's still linear, one-dimensional. Questions? Yes? 2 pi r or pi d, and we decided we were going to use which formula? Pi d. Radius. R stands for radius. And the d stands for diameter. The radius comes from the center and goes to the outside. So if they gave you this, the diameter is equal to 11, how could I find the radius?
11
Take 11 and divide it by 2. So the radius would be 5.5 centimeters. Now the reason it's important to understand that if they give me a diameter that I can find the radius, when you go to work with area, the formula for area says pi r squared. There's no way to do the area of a circle with the diameter. Although you can do circumference, you can't do area. Question? You did 11 divided by 2.
I did 3.14 times 11, and then I got that and divided by 2, and I got 7, I can't remember, is it 17.5?
Well, that would be half of this. You don't want that. That'd be the distance halfway around the circle.
You did 3.14 times 0.5? 5.5?
If I were going to find it using the radius, okay? And we found the radius was 5.5, if that's the way they gave it to me. I'd have to take 2 times 3.14 times 5.5. If I do that, what is it going to give me? It's going to give me 34.54 centimeters. Either way that I do it, I should find out that my circumference would be the same. I chose to do it using diameter because they gave me the diameter. There was no reason to find the radius unless they asked me to. Or unless they asked me to go further and find the area, which we're going to talk about tomorrow. Questions? But you understand this particular problem? And let's take a look at your turn, number 6. What page? 101. A circular garden has a circumference. And I'm going to tell you, the minute I see this word, I write this down. I either write down circumference equals pi d, or I write down circumference equals 2 pi r. It says a circular garden has a circumference of 44 yards. Lars is digging a straight line along a diameter of a garden. So they're talking about that diameter. I want to use this part of the formula. At a rate of 7 yards per hour, how many hours will it take him to dig across the garden? The first thing I have to find in order to figure out how long it's going to take him to dig across the garden is, how long is the diameter? They gave me the circumference. What can I replace this C with? 44. I replace pi with 3.14, and the diameter is what I'm looking for. Algebraically, then, how would I find out what the diameter is? I'd divide by 3.14. Okay. If it came out to 14.01, for the sake of argument, we're going to say that that's what? 14, and it would be yards. Okay. That's the first part of this question. Would I be finished yet?
No.
No. Why?
Because you still have to find hours.
Right. The question said, how many hours? That's the real question. How long is it going to take him?
14 hours.
It is going to take how many hours?
2 hours.
2 hours. If he can dig 7 yards per 1 hour, then if I divide that by, if I take 14 and divide it by 7, it would give me 2 hours. Okay? Okay. The difference between a radius and a diameter. It may be oval shaped up there. It's pretty circular shape on my screen. A radius comes from the center of the circle and has one end point on the outside. This is a radius. A diameter has both end points on the circle, but still passes through the center. So from here to here, this is a what? This is a diameter. No matter where I draw a diameter in, would it change in length? No. No matter where I draw a radius in, would it change in length? No. All diameters in a circle are equal. All radii in a circle are equal. So it doesn't matter where they're drawn in. But a diameter will always be equal to 2 times the radius. Because if I put another radius over here, you can see it takes 2 radii to make 1 diameter. Everybody good? Any questions? That's your assignment today.